She ran a home daycare. She had 3 kids under 12, a husband who farmed 2,600 acres, and zero background in media, editing, or digital business. And then she built the most watched farm channel in YouTube history and let someone else put their name on it. That woman is Becky Johnson, the person behind Millennial Farmer, a channel with over 1.2 million subscribers that redefined what agricultural content looks like online and now generates more annual income than the farm it was built to document. By the time this story is finished, you will understand exactly how a woman with no platform, no training, and no blueprint quietly became the operational backbone of a media business most of her own audience has never thought to ask about. 2 people, same rural Minnesota, different small towns, close enough that their high school sports schedules overlapped. That is how Zach and Becky met, not at a media conference, not through a content incubator, across the kind of small town geography where everybody already knows everybody's cousin. And the biggest event of the week is a Friday night game under the lights. They married in 2007, settled into the farmhouse where Zach had grown up, and built a life around the things available to them: corn, soybeans, and the rhythms of a 5th-generation family operation that his Swedish immigrant ancestors had been working since 1876. Becky did not grow up farming. Her contribution to the household economy in those early years was running a home daycare, caring for other people's children while managing her own, in a house on land she had not grown up on, embedded in a community defined almost entirely by agriculture. It is worth pausing on that for a moment. Daycare is invisible work. It is demanding, relentless, and structurally undervalued. The skill set it builds, patience, scheduling, emotional attunement, the ability to keep multiple moving parts running simultaneously without losing anyone, does not look impressive on a resume. But it turns out those are exactly the skills required to run a media business with no staff, no budget, and no margin for error. Neither of them saw that coming. Becky has said so directly. "I don't think Zach or I in a million years would have guessed this would turn into what it did. We both grew up poor in rural Minnesota." That line tends to get quoted once and moved past quickly. It deserves more attention because it tells you the baseline. There was no safety net here, no wealthy family backing a passion project, no fallback position. When the channel started, it started from nothing, in a farmhouse in Lowry, Minnesota, with a GoPro and a man who wanted to show the world what farming actually looked like. What happened next is the reason this story matters, and Becky Johnson is the reason it happened at all. Zach launched the Millennial Farmer YouTube channel in 2016. His stated reason was sincere and direct. He was concerned about the growing disconnect between farmers and consumers, the way modern agriculture had become invisible to the very people who depended on it most. His first video opened with that premise. "I started this video because I'm concerned about the disconnect between farmers and consumers." It was earnest, it was unpolished, and it got enough views to suggest something real was there. Zach was a farmer first. He shot footage from the tractor seat, sometimes with a GoPro strapped to equipment, sometimes just holding the camera one-handed while he worked. He documented what was actually happening: stuck machinery, frozen fields, harvest runs at midnight, equipment breakdowns in the mud. He was not thinking about virality. He was thinking about corn. Becky was thinking about something else entirely. She has described the moment she understood what the channel could become, and it did not come from studying YouTube analytics or reading a digital media strategy report. It came from watching the Kardashians. "Where I connected the dots was that I was an avid Kardashians fan," she said in a 2026 interview marking the channel's 10th anniversary. "I made the correlation of the opportunity that we had, and I kind of started to encourage him to do it more." Sit with that for a moment. While Zach was treating YouTube as a purposeful hobby, Becky was watching reality television and identifying a business model. The Kardashians had not built their empire by doing extraordinary things. They built it by letting cameras into an ordinary life and making the audience feel like they were part of the family. Becky looked at a corn and soybean farm in west central Minnesota and saw the same structural opportunity. Authentic daily life, a family the audience could root for, a world most people had never been shown. She started researching what made other big YouTube channels work, what made videos spread, what the editing patterns were on content that held attention. She was doing all of this while running the daycare, managing 3 young children, and keeping the household running while the farm operation continued to demand everything Zach had. And that is when the decision was made, the one nobody around her saw coming. Becky did not ask for a role on the channel. She built one. Zach would come home from the fields at 9, 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night, He would leave an SD card on her desk, the raw footage from whatever had happened that day on the farm. Then he would go to sleep. Becky would sit down and edit. She had no formal training, no software background, no one showing her how. She taught herself from scratch, watching tutorial videos almost every single day. Just about every day I'll watch some kind of tutorial video on some new technique, she said. That was not a one-week crash course. That was a sustained, deliberate self-education running in parallel with full-time childcare and household management, month after month, year after year. By morning, the video was ready. Becky would handle the kids, run the day, manage the daycare, and somewhere inside all of that, she had also produced a piece of content for a channel that was quietly growing its audience week by week. This arrangement, Zach shooting, Becky editing, became the operational engine of Millennial Farmer. Not occasionally. Every video, hundreds of them. During harvest season, the upload pace reached approximately 5 videos per week. 5 videos per week, each roughly 20 minutes long, each requiring logging footage, selecting the strongest material, cutting it into a coherent narrative, balancing the audio, and preparing it for upload with titles, descriptions, and thumbnails that would actually earn a click. Becky was doing all of that, alone, at night, without a title. The audience watching those videos saw Zach. They saw the tractor, the combine, the mud, the humor, the dog. What they did not see was the woman who had shaped every single frame they were watching into something worth watching. That is not a criticism of Zach Johnson. He has never hidden Becky's role and has acknowledged the partnership openly in interviews. But the branding of the channel, the name on the thumbnail, the face that became synonymous with Millennial Farmer, none of that was Becky. She was the infrastructure, invisible by design, essential by necessity, and the channel kept growing. The first video to break out in a truly significant way came in 2019. Zach learned that a neighboring farmer had died suddenly, leaving his fields unharvested. His family was away from the farm, and the crop was at risk. Zach and a group of local farmers organized and harvested the fallen farmer's soybeans themselves, and Zach filmed it. The video spread beyond the Millennial Farmer audience almost immediately. CBS Minnesota covered it. It circulated on Facebook with a caption Zach wrote himself. "This is what America's farmers do for each other. This is who we are." It was the moment the channel stopped being a niche agricultural interest and became something with genuine cultural reach. Behind that video, as with every other video before and after it, was Becky, cutting the footage, shaping the story, making sure what went out represented the channel at its best. Here's what the comments kept asking, and here's the answer they never got, until now. Most people who follow Millennial Farmer think of it as a YouTube channel. What it actually is, by 2026, is a multi-platform media operation. And Becky Johnson runs the business side of all of it. Her Instagram bio does not say farm wife. It says mom, farm wife, content creator, video and audio engineer, PR manager, business manager. Those are 5 distinct professional roles listed in sequence, without fanfare, on a profile with 27,000 followers that most Millennial Farmer subscribers have never visited. She manages the channel's finances. She handles all sponsorship and PR relationships. She negotiates and manages the deals with the agricultural brands that have become a significant revenue stream for the operation. She produces the content, she runs the numbers. The scale of what that means in practice becomes clearer when you look at what Millennial Farmer has grown into. The channel now has merchandise, branded t-shirts, caps, beer cozies, a full product line that Zach has described as having really taken off. There are paid sponsorships with ag-related businesses. There is a podcast. There is a second YouTube channel. Every one of those revenue streams requires someone managing the relationships, tracking the income, and making sure the business side functions. That someone is Becky. The podcast is called Off the Husk, and it is where Becky's voice is most directly present in the public-facing output of the Millennial Farmer brand. She co-hosts alongside Zach and Randy Nessman, known as the Master Pipe Layer, and the format is deliberately loose. Farming, agriculture, food, fuel, and whatever else comes up in an improvised conversation over a cold beer. Listeners familiar only with Becky's behind-the-scenes reputation have sometimes been surprised by how she operates in that format. One reviewer described her specifically as the voice of reason who tries to clear things up when things go off in all directions. When the conversation drifts, Becky pulls it back. When something needs explaining, she asks the question the listener is already asking. She does not disappear into the background in that room. She runs it. That dynamic, the woman who keeps everything on track, turns out to be consistent whether the setting is a video editing suite, a financial spreadsheet, or a podcast recording in rural Minnesota. Most people who know this story stop here, but the real story starts right now. There is a detail in the Becky Johnson story that rarely receives the weight it deserves. At the same time, she was teaching herself video editing, managing the channel's business infrastructure, co-running a home daycare, and raising 3 biological children, Onyx, Rhiannon, and Isla. Becky and Zach also adopted her niece. The adoption happened several years before the channel reached its current scale, when the operation was still finding its footing and the income from YouTube was not yet reliable enough to be called a business. That decision, to expand a family already stretched across farming, daycare work, and a side project that had not yet proven itself, is the kind of thing that gets a single sentence in a profile piece and then disappears. It should not disappear. Taking on the legal and practical responsibility for a child who needed a stable home, at a moment when the family's own financial foundation was still uncertain, is a significant act. It is also, in context, completely consistent with who Becky Johnson appears to be. Someone who identifies what needs doing and does it, regardless of whether the conditions are ideal. By 2025, the oldest of the 4 children, the adopted niece, had grown into an adult. Onyx, their son, was 15 and had become part of Zach's dirt track racing crew. Rhiannon was 13, Isla was 10. The farmhouse in Lowry that Zach grew up in now holds a family of 6. A media business, a farming operation, and a racing hobby that has itself become a separate content channel. All of it runs through Becky. She never talked about any of this publicly in the way that most content creators talk about their personal lives. No dedicated videos about the adoption. No monetized family moments positioned as emotional content. The family appears in the videos because the videos document real life on the farm, not because the family was packaged as a product. That restraint in the current creator economy is itself unusual enough to be notable. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. For years, Zach declined to reveal specific income figures for Millennial Farmer. That is his right, and it is a reasonable boundary to hold in a space where income reveal content has become its own genre. But the shape of the money is visible enough in the public record to understand what has been built here. Zach Johnson has stated directly that he now makes more money every year as a YouTuber than he does as a farmer. On 2,600 acres of corn and soybeans in west central Minnesota, farming is not a trivial operation. The fact that a YouTube channel has out-earned it is a significant data point. The revenue comes from multiple streams: YouTube ad revenue on over 1 million subscribers, personal sponsorship deals with agricultural businesses, a merchandise line that has scaled well, and podcast revenue from Off the Husk. Every one of those streams was either built or managed by Becky. Industry analysts have described Zach Johnson as the most watched farm personality on YouTube. That designation does not happen by accident. It happens because someone understood the platform well enough to grow an audience that size, and then built the operational infrastructure to sustain it. The audience growth required consistent upload schedules, strong editing, thumbnail strategy, SEO, and community engagement. The business sustainability required financial management, brand partnership navigation, and long-term planning. Becky did not do one of those things. She did all of them. What makes this particularly striking is the origin point. A woman who grew up poor in rural Minnesota, whose professional identity before 2016 was defined by childcare, taught herself an entirely new industry from scratch, not in a focused period with cleared schedules and dedicated resources, but at night, after the kids were in bed, in the margins of an already full life. The channel she helped build is now, a decade later, the financial backbone of the Johnson family operation at a moment when the farming economy itself is struggling. Zach said it plainly in a 2026 interview. Farming hasn't been very good the last couple of years, and 2026 isn't looking great either for row crop farming. But we're lucky that we have 2 different things to juggle so that we can manage through that. The second thing they have to juggle is the media business. The media business exists because Becky built it. One phone call, one conversation. That is all it took to change the direction of everything. As the channel marks its 10th anniversary in 2026, the Johnsons are thinking openly about what comes next. Becky has publicly acknowledged what most long-term creators eventually face, the sustainability question. YouTube is a demanding platform. Consistent output at the pace Millennial Farmer has maintained for a decade requires constant material, constant editing, constant engagement. I don't think it's necessarily something that Zach wants to do forever. It's taxing, you know, she said in the anniversary coverage. That is a measured, honest statement from someone who understands the cost of the operation from the inside. Zach has said he hopes to find something long-term in agricultural media, a format that generates revenue more consistently than the volatility of YouTube's ad model allows. What that looks like in practice has not been defined publicly. But the fact that the conversation is happening at the 10-year mark, rather than being avoided, suggests a level of strategic clarity about the business that has characterized the Johnson operation from the beginning. Their children will not be forced to farm. Zach and Becky have said that directly. The kids are in charge of their own futures, but they also carry a quiet hope that their children will recognize the opportunity that both the land and the channel represent. That somewhere down the line, the Millennial Farmer channel might give way to something new, built by the next generation, carrying forward a brand that two people from small-town Minnesota built with a GoPro, an SD card, and a decision to keep going when there was no obvious reason to expect it would work. Becky's niece, the child she adopted, is now an adult. Onyx is 15, already in the racing crew, already on camera. Rhiannon and Isla are growing up inside a media business they will one day be old enough to understand they were part of building. At this point in the story, most people walked away. What she did instead is the part nobody talks about. Here is what 10 years looks like in measurable terms. A channel that did not exist in 2015 now has 1.2 million subscribers. It has produced hundreds of videos. It has a merchandise line, a podcast, a secondary channel covering the family's racing life, paid brand partnerships with agricultural companies, and a public speaking presence. It has generated enough income to outperform the farming operation it was built to document. It has been cited by YouTube itself in a 2020 industry report called Welcome to FarmTube as a standout success in the agricultural content space. It has been covered by the Star Tribune, CBS Minnesota, Minnesota Public Radio, and multiple agricultural industry outlets. None of that happened because someone had a camera and good intentions. It happened because someone with no background in any of this sat down at a desk in a farmhouse in rural Minnesota and decided she was going to figure it out. Every single day, for 10 years, one tutorial video at a time. Becky Johnson is not a supporting character in the Millennial Farmer story. She is the reason the story exists. She identified the opportunity. She pushed the channel forward when it was still a hobby. She built the editing capability that gave the content its consistency and quality. She runs the finances, the brand partnerships, the PR, and the production. She co-hosts the podcast. She raised 4 children inside all of it. And she did everything I just described while carrying the title Mrs. Millennial Farmer, a name that positions her as an accessory to someone else's identity, when the evidence points to something considerably more than that. The audience that has followed this channel for years deserves to know who built what they have been watching. Now they do. 2 people who grew up poor in rural Minnesota, with no media background, no roadmap, and no reason to believe it would work, built a platform that reaches over 1 million people, and one of them did it while nobody was watching her do it. As the channel enters its 2nd decade, the Johnsons are already thinking about the next chapter, what a sustainable long-term presence in agricultural media looks like when the YouTube model eventually runs its course. Whatever that transition becomes, Becky will be the one building the infrastructure behind it. That much, at least, has been consistent from the beginning. The real question this story raises is one only you can answer. Most people in Becky's position, doing the work, building the business, holding the whole operation together, would have put their own name on it. She did not. So the question is this: do you think Becky Johnson should have built her own channel, separate from Millennial Farmer, or was staying behind the scenes the right call? Let me know what you think below.